Alright, what's up, gaming compute? A little bit updates. I'm gonna do a combo review of GoDaddy for web hosting, as well as an update about the gamingcompute.com website. Just some things I've been thinking about. Good things in my opinion, but I don't know. It's not gonna mess up anybody else's flow. But on the digital marketing note, let's talk about GoDaddy. So in general, I know a lot of. I'll put it this way. I almost don't even want to mention Andrew Tate, because he's such a controversial person, and I mean, I don't personally know the guy, so it's just there's a lot of controversy around him, and then Gary Vee as well. But the reason why I want to mention these names is because I think a lot of people, when they're trying to set something up for themselves, a lot of us get into I don't know what to call it. It's not procrastination. It's almost like a form of procrastination. It's like you're busy, right? You're busy, but you're not doing any tasks that are going to directly lead to money, Say, for example, if you wanted to do something digital marketing wise, selling, for example, reselling stuff, I mean, you don't really need a website, you don't really need all that. There's so many platforms out there that are for free where you can just post up whatever your service or your, product or products are, where you could get traffic organically just from understanding those algorithms and kind of posting frequently. But the issue with those platforms, I'm talking like Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, what else? TikTok Shop. I think TikTok Shop has to be connected to an actual online store, though, to my understanding. But you could, eBay, Craigslist. You don't need a landing page. What I'm saying is, you don't need to spend so much time, especially at the very beginning, working on all that stuff, especially if you don't know if you're going to sell anything or not. It's but you think about the amount of time that most people try that model of, I need a website, I need business cards, I need a logo. Those things cost money. Web hosting costs money, a domain name costs money. Business cards, unless you make them yourself, they cost money. I mean, you can get them cheaper, but you still need supplies if you're doing it paper-based. It's all gonna cost, right? Sorry, I decided to move outside because the sun is shining after the storm and I want some fresh air. So yeah, you don't really need to start out depending what you're doing. Like if you're doing something that you want to look professional, it makes sense to have a landing page, a lot of developed socials, right? Because if you think of it, if someone mentions their company name to you, you're going to look it up if it's something that interests you. I do that all the time, I was watching some videos, I can't remember who was recording it, on YouTube. This lady, her microphone, it said Indeed, like from Indeed.com. But I think she's probably branched off on her own. And I watched 2 of her sets of interviews. One of them was at a tech conference. I think it was called Techsgiving or something like that. And the other one, she was interviewing people in the space of, I guess, what do you call it? She had interviews for people who were in trades. So, like, people who worked at nail salons, tattoo parlors, electricians, plumbers, all types of trade jobs. Some of them had union jobs, things like that. She's interviewing all these people. So, just listening to that, some of the people, they had their own kind of entrepreneurial venture and they mentioned the names of their companies. And so if they didn't say it was a .com and I was like, oh, I want to see, you see this person on an interview talking about their company and then I'm like, oh, it sounds interesting. I want to go check out their website, right? I mean, how would that look if I go to check out their website and there's nothing there, or it's TBD, to be determined, or not even finished, or doesn't look like it's finished, and then you go back in a month and it's not finished, and you go back in a year, it's not finished. I followed people like this in the copywriting space where, I'm not trying to like trash people because I don't really know for real like their situation. Like it's not like I have a way of looking up how much they make, but it's like, let me try to vet some of these people. They have courses out there. They have, they say they make all this money, yet, I go to their link tree and they don't have a lot of people on their socials. Their social media, maybe one is like, maybe they have like, for example, Instagram built out, maybe TikTok is built out, maybe they're building out their YouTube. But you go to their landing page and it's like a year later and their landing page isn't finished. It's, not even up and running. You can't book services on there. But maybe they have it up and running on Instagram, right? So you kind of think about, like, when you look at it from, like, a potential either customer or, someone who would be a potential student of yours or something, like if you look at it from that point of view, it's like what are these people seeing? You might not look as well established. Like to me, that was a bit of a turnoff with one of these copywriters who is wanting people to purchase a very expensive course, but I'm like, on the main page where you're selling your course, the main landing page has tabs that aren't finished and haven't been finished for like a year, and it's like, either finish the tabs or remove the tabs until you're done with them, or have something there that's like information or something, something that it just looks more professional, and so it's easy to want to just launch something, and I mean I do it too. I'm not saying I'm not that other people do it and it doesn't really look super professional. Um, and I never do it. I do it too, you know, but I try to take certain things off. I try to, you know, if I don't have all of these platforms rolling, you know, maybe I should take them off of my landing page. Maybe I shouldn't post them on my link tree if there's nothing there when people click on it. Because you never know what the first thing is someone's going to click on. You know, if they click on your unfinished landing page, are they really going to go back to your link tree and then click on your other stuff, right? Maybe, maybe not. You know, if they're really interested, they might. But, you know, I get skeptical of courses and things. I'm interested in courses. That's probably how I learn the best. Is just being taught remotely and having the time and energy to spend learning and practicing skills. That works very well for me. I'm slow to learn things. I'll put it that way. I know that that's not a strength of mine. It takes me a while to get caught up with the curve and like to get ahead of the curve. But once I'm ahead of the curve, I stay there and I thrive. And, you know, I've learned that about myself. It takes a lot more patience for me to kind of like learn something, get it kind of settled in, get settled into something new, get into like a vibe with it, kind of like have like a system going and have it flowing very well, and then I'm good. I'm golden, you know, for years, you know, and I'm learning, and usually at that point I'm, you know, at least in my past work experience, I've gotten awards, I've gotten good performance reviews, I've gotten, you know, recognition, you know, very good client feedback, very good. I mean, I've left a job at the end of 2022. I left a job, and when I was meeting up with people still working at that site, you know, because they're peers of mine, and I would go back to San Diego and meet up with some people who were meeting with my previous clients. These people who were peers from that job that I never met knew me because my clients were still raving about me, saying how good I was working with them. And this is multiple people that I met during 2023 that were, you know, filling in the jobs that a lot of us left during 2022. And I was meeting these people through other people, and yeah, nobody told me to my face that I was bad. I've never gotten that from, you know, people say that in certain things they would say maybe I have a gift with certain things or that I'm good at certain things. But I do know that it took me a while to get there. You know, when I was in school, you know, I wasn't, you know, I have supervisors, well, certain supervisors, I wouldn't say they were really coming from like a very helpful or healthy mindset, but other ones who were, and the feedback I got, you know, it was very like, you know, people were like, maybe you're not quite up to snuff with the rest of the class, grade-wise. But in the professional field, once I got there, it was like, I learned it and I did it, and I learned to do it better than everybody else. Not better than everybody else, but up there with the people who were considered great, you know. And it took me a while, you know. And it's kind of too bad that I burned out of that field, but you know, sometimes learning can be a little bit difficult for some of us. But it doesn't mean give up, you know. And so let's talk about GoDaddy, godaddy.com. Most people know of it because you can buy your domain name there. There are other sites like Namecheap, and like there are plenty of other sites where you can buy domain names, but GoDaddy probably has the longest and most advertising from what I've seen. I remember, at least back in the day, they used to have commercials on TV about godaddy.com. I don't think I've ever really checked to compare if the rates are actually cheaper. And I can't remember what Namecheap looks like in comparison. But I know GoDaddy, in my opinion, they kind of, how do I say this? They kind of bait you. They bait you. So, for example, if I wanted a domain name, I don't even know. I'm just making something up off the top of my head from what I'm viewing around me. Housemailbox.com. Housemailbox.com, if that's what you wanted for your domain name. It might look like on the surface that housemailbox.com is $1.99. You go and click on it, that's what you pay the second and third year, but because maybe it's a very popular, based on the search terms and trends, if it's a very popular kind of name, or if somebody else already owned it and kind of built the name and site up, they kind of don't really tell you that, oh, it's $49.99 for the first year, and then $1.99 for the second and third year if you get that contract. Or if you just want a contract for just 1 year, it's going to run you $25.99 every single year from that point on. So you're not even getting that initial discount. You're paying more. You're paying less the first year, but then by the second year, you're already paying almost what you would have paid for 3 years, and then by the third year, you're paying more than you already paid for the 3 years. So it's kind of like they do that. I don't like it. They do that. I mean, it tells you what's available, but it's not accurate. As far as just like when you're looking at it, you got to look deeper into it. And another thing I noticed, guys, this is no bueno for them. But hey, it's a review. This is my review of my experiences with GoDaddy, so I can say what I need to say because it's my experiences. I'm not trashing them. I'm still using them. I'm still paying for their services. But I purchased a website domain for a shop that I use for a Shopify store. I let that domain lapse past the maybe month grace period that they get you to buy it back. I went to buy it back, maybe let's call it 2 months after. I'm really not accurate with these timelines. I don't really know. I'm just kind of by the seat of my pants talking about this. But let's say it was 2 months after the fact. I go back in to buy the domain name. Let's say it says it's $6.99 for the year. And I'm like, that's not bad. I can just buy my own domain back that I previously had. No, you cannot, because you previously owned it. Therefore, for you, since you previously owned it, you are going to be required to pay a brokerage fee of $60 on top of whatever it is that they say somebody purchased this website. So I talked to chat support. They tell me nobody's purchased it, that it's available for a certain amount of money. And then they realize that I was the one who had previously been owning this. And then they say that it costs more than what it's listed for online. So I'm wondering if I just create a new account with a different email address and try to buy that website that was already mine, would it cost $6.99? Or whatever the rate was that they were stating it was going to be? Or would I still have to pay like a brokerage fee? Because nobody owns it right now. If I look up that .com, nobody owns it. Nobody bought it after I let it lapse. The website isn't built out. Nobody's in control of it right now. So I just put an S on the end of it and bought it for like $1.99. I think it ran me like $12.99 for the year or something like that. And I mean, I don't know. That's kind of almost strike two for me with them. And so, in addition to that, paying about $16.99 a month to have my website with them. I mean, the hosting is free, but the website builder is, it runs me $16.99 a month to be able to have access to their website builder. And so unless I want to build my website outside and then load it onto, where I'm getting hosted at GoDaddy with the domain I already purchased there for gamingcompute.com, I'm still gonna have to pay that $16.99 a month. Now it's not a lot of money, but for me it's kind of almost, I wouldn't say it's a matter of principle. Like, I'm not like that peeved about it. It's not really that big of a deal, but just combining all the factors, I'm like, it just kind of doesn't look right. To me, it just doesn't look good to have a company do this kind of thing. And like I said, I'm not like pissed off. I'm not like angry. It's just, I think I'm gonna migrate over to WordPress. I could probably take some of the user interface. The reason why I'm saying this is for myself. I thought about it, and I'm like, the only thing I have on my landing page is the podcast link and the blog link. Podcast goes out to Spotify for podcasters. Blog goes out to medium.com. I technically don't need a landing page in the first place, but I have one. At least for the time being, I've got the domain name. And so 000 web host is free hosting. It's not the best hosting, but it does have a website builder that comes with it for free. And I figure I could probably rebuild a similar looking website on there, or just change the look of it, change the design of it, the whole interface. It's not that interactive. The only thing it has on there really is a blown up photo that I use for my logo. The name of the site, which isn't the full name, it's just a portion of the site kind of cropped. And then the portion of the name is sort of cropped, and then underneath that I have underneath that I have a kind of a banner, kind of like I don't know what you call it, almost like how they do that breaking news, or like sports scores at the bottom. Like, what do you call it? Like not a ticker. Is it a ticker? I don't know. But basically, it's just a moving banner on the bottom of the screen with my socials on there, which I don't really need that. And I mean, like I mentioned, most of my socials aren't really fully built out either, so it's like I don't really need like a full banner for all that, and I don't really need it anyways. So I'm kind of in a debate with myself about it. I might just migrate over to a free hosting, and then I won't have to pay $16.99 a month. Now I do like how GoDaddy's web builder is very easy to use. It's very point and click. You're not programming anything in. But technically I could take the code and move it. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to take the code, the CSS, HTML, move it over to a site off of WordPress. I'm talking WordPress.org, not WordPress.com, because I know I can set up 000 web host through WordPress.org. So that's kind of where my head's at today. I'm not going to like jump on the decision. If you don't have a domain name, I mean, with 000 web host, the cool thing is you can get a free domain name, but you won't have a .com. It'll be whatever that whatever extension is they randomly give you. So it might be gamingcompute.12xm. It might be gamingcompute.co2r, It might be gamingcompute.net 3. It's got weird extensions, and so I could do it completely for free and not have to even. I mean, my renewal for my domain name isn't coming up anytime soon, and I don't really need it. I mean, like, it's not a necessity. It's more like a project. I'll put it that way. But as part of a project, it kind of helps me organize and think, like, how do I want this to look? Because I'm building something on the back of it. I just use this site to kind of talk about what I'm learning along the way with other projects that I'm dabbling in. Gaming Compute itself does not particularly make money, but the other stuff I do that I talk about on Gaming Compute does make money, if that makes sense. And I'm not blasting it anywhere. It's out there, it's floating around, but I'm not linking any of it here because I don't want people stealing my ideas. I've had it happen before. I've had somebody copy my whole entire thing and just kind of outdo me, and that was not a pleasant experience. I've had it happen on eBay before. Like, it's a battle out there, guys, in the digital world. And I'm not any like special superheroistic type of person, but the reason, let me come full circle around here. The reason why I mentioned Gary Vee and Andrew Tate is because those are the two people that I heard saying, Gary Vee said, just start podcasting, just start it. Don't worry about all the fluff behind the stuff. Just start creating content. Create your dang content and keep consistently creating content. You can still build in the back, but create your content. Andrew Tate said, just start making sales, start making money. Don't worry about all, like, if you think about how long it takes for a newbie to learn how to even put up a website, and how long it takes to build out your socials, to have like a decent following, to kind of have decent numbers, to have, a lot of subscribers and a lot of content out there. How long does it take to do that? It's not like you can do it overnight. You can't just, create batches and just like post them and blast it all over the place in the social world. Like, you're gonna get flagged. You've got to have a rhythm to it. The algorithm plays on a consistency rhythm. You can't just, one day I'm hopped up on caffeine, so let me record like 80 podcasts and write like 6 blog posts and, then post it all on Monday. It's like, you got to spread it out, at least time it and spread it out over days, even if you're posting, like, and follow what the successful YouTubers do, or the successful Instagram people do. Follow what they do. If you're posting on YouTube, make shorts, post them to Instagram, post them to, you can have one 20-minute long video, or 15 minutes long, I don't know, 10-minute long, whatever you want to do, an hour-long podcast, and break it up into like freaking God only knows how many shorts of 30 seconds each. Now, how long does it take to edit those videos? It'll take you absolute ages to edit all that stuff, and to post it, and to schedule it, and to link it all over to all your other socials and get everything all linked up together. But you can take one podcast episode and just milk that thing. And so usually you can do that. You can take one episode and kind of stretch it out into more content. It might get annoying to some of your audience, but it is a method. And you can post unique content too. Like, you don't have to post all just like long form then a bunch of short form. You can post one long form a week, take multiple days to break it up, and then it's still leading people back to the long form. Because the problem is, a lot of times if people don't know you, they don't want the long form. But if they don't know you, they'll listen to your short form. And so that kind of drives traffic for you. But what these guys are saying is post. Create, post. If you're not creating or you're not posting anything, you're not doing anything. If you're not either creating and posting stuff, or just going out there and making money, you're not really doing anything. You're just fumbling around with like this background stuff that, you know, you could still be working on, is what I'm saying. You could still be working on that stuff. If you don't have, I mean, you want to check on things. So say if I didn't have the domain name for gameandcompute.com, right? Say if I didn't have that, you know, I couldn't name a podcast after it and name a blog after it and then be like, oh shoot, that name's already taken by some other person. And now I'm calling my podcast this, and I'm calling my blog this, and I'm calling my other stuff this, and I'm running a bunch of stuff through it, and then like my website is like some other random domain name like housemailboxes.com or whatever. It's like it just doesn't really match up. So you kind of need to know where you're going. You kind of have to have a plan. You can't just like wing it like too much. But the thing is, people use their energy in the wrong places and get discouraged because they're like, well, I built all this stuff and it took me a month to learn how to build a website and 2 weeks to learn how to properly write a blog post and to start making blog posts and to edit them and, you know, make some video footage and post all over TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and, you know, maybe you're on wherever, like live streaming somewhere and doing all this other stuff, and it's all good. It's cool, you know. But how are you gonna, you know, feel when you're like, I mean, that's a slow game. That's a real slow game. You know, you want wins early. And that's a real slow game. Like, how long is it going to take for you to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube? It's probably going to take a bit. And if you're not trying to put money into advertising and all this, like, Google stuff or whatever you're using to, like, push your material, if you're not putting more money into that, which is, by the way, costing astronomically more than what it used to cost, so you're now paying more out of pocket than you would have been paying a year or two ago. You're paying a lot of money. It's a lot of money, guys. It adds up. And when you see how much you're spending, you're like, I spent all this money on a website. And to do it yourself takes longer. Even if you know what you're doing, it's going to take longer. If you pay someone on Fiverr, pay someone on Upwork, whatever, they can do it for you. But you might be coming like anywhere from like, I don't know, on the cheap end, like $50 to like $200-300, $50 to $300 out of pocket for each type of site you're trying to build out, just so it might potentially get traffic. See what I mean? It's like, is that, how long can you keep that up? Say if you're not getting subscribers fast enough, if you're not able to monetize your YouTube fast enough. Like after 30 days, 90 days, it's going to be really hard. And I'm talking about this at the beginning of the year because a lot of people have goals in the digital marketing world. So like, I want to start a company, I want to start a website, I want to start a side hustle, I want to do all this stuff. And it's like, do it. Just do it. I mean, it doesn't have to look pretty at first. It's nice when it looks pretty. It's fun when it looks pretty. But the pretty part isn't what's necessarily going to make you money. If you have a good product or a good service, you're going to make money with it. If you have just a basic way of, you know, creating Loom videos, you know, being more direct towards, you know, trying to target certain people who need your services and get a Loom video out to them of how you can actually help them. Give them some good free information and see if they want to hire you on. Get on some kind of a call with them. Just give them some free information, some free tips. Practice. You can practice it if you're nervous. The other day I was on OfferUp, and I talked about it maybe on here. And I was, you know, I saw this lady on there posting this item for sale, and I was kind of like, you know, I was acting like I was going to buy it, but I knew I wasn't going to. But it's something that I've purchased and repaired and resold in the past. And so I was like, how much, like, can you tell me, like, what's the brand of this? She didn't know the brand. Like, I wasn't trying to, like, mess with her. I was trying to help her. But I was like, well, maybe there is more information, because I was interested in it, in the item. that she was selling, but I wasn't that interested because I saw that it went from the initial post of $500 of cost to $80, and I'm like, that's in my head. I'm like, that's a big jump. How would somebody go from $500 to $80 for something? And I saw what they said. They only had 2 pictures that weren't even full pictures, front and back or sides or anything. They seemed to know nothing about it. They said something about the item looking like it was old enough to have fallen off the Titanic, and I'm like, well, can you verify the age? Because if it's an antique, like in my head I'm thinking, if this is an antique, it's probably worth a lot of money. If it's not an antique, what's the brand? Because brands matter. If I'm buying a pair of shoes and it's, Nikes versus a pair of shoes that, my neighbor made for me that has no brand, no nothing. They look nice, they're comfortable. I don't know who knows how to make shoes, but I mean, it doesn't have any kind of name or label or anything in it. And they made a one-of-a-kind pair of shoes, sneakers, where I can go and run around in them and get fit, and they're not any kind of brand, and they made one pair, sold it to me, never gonna make another pair again. And if I posted those up online to sell them, it's like a one-of-a-kind thing. They'd have to fit the right person, so there's only like a small sample of people who really could buy it. Either they're buying it for a gift, or they're for someone else, or they're buying it for themselves because they want to use it. But with certain things, the brand matters. Brand a lot of times equals quality, success, recognition, things that people kind of value, even if some of it might be a little on the superficial end. It doesn't really matter. We're talking about the money end of it. It's not going to make much sense, to sell some like random homemade thing. Who knows what the quality is, and if you only have 2 sentences describing that it looks old, and we see pictures of some banged up thing that looks old, that needs a ton of repairs, nobody's going to buy that thing if you don't know anything else about it, and there's not good pictures, and there's not a good description. So I went from asking her what the brand is. I was like, if you look inside, where the sound holes are, like, does it say anything? And she's like, no, there's no label. And I'm like, okay. And she's kind of like, well, where do I go from here? And I'm kind of like, oh, well, because I could tell by the pictures, like, okay, you don't know how to sell this, because, I mean, anyone who knows how to sell something that they're into, what people are looking for when they're going to buy it. And she just didn't know. And I wasn't trying, like I'm saying, I wasn't trying to mess with her. I was trying to provide value to some random person at no cost to me. I was just online and window shopping. I wasn't even going to buy anything. I was just like, this is a category that I like to search in, and I see some weirdly posted thing that went from $500 to $80, and I want to talk to this person just to see, because I didn't think they were scamming, because it's like, on OfferUp, if someone buys something from you and it's not what you said, they get a refund. So, and you wasted all your time with all the shipping and all that kind of stuff. You lose money on your shipping. And to ship, this item would have cost around $30 if you're shipping it, USPS, like standard across the country. That's about what you'd be paying, $35. So who's going to lose that much money? Nobody wants to lose that much money. They're trying to make the money, right? So I figure she's on there because she wants to make money. And I see an item that I'm like, you could make money off of this if you put this other information. And so I'm, after she asked, where do I go from here? I'm like, okay, like, you need this part, this part, this part, this part, and that part for it to be functional. If you were to put it on there and fix it up yourself without looking at the cosmetics, because yes, it did look old enough to have fallen off the Titanic. You're going to need some item, like it's missing parts. It has noticeably broken parts that you're going to need to replace just to make it functional for the person who buys it. Regardless of if it has a brand, if the neighbor made it, if she made it herself and scuffed it all up herself to make it look old, It doesn't have a brand name on it. It doesn't have a model number on it. It doesn't have any kind of identifiable information on it. And so I was like, that's one step. Buy all the pieces so that somebody could actually use it, and then it wouldn't really matter. Like, people will tell you how much they're willing to pay for it, and you can accept or decline. And at least if it has all the parts, somebody can buy it functional and be able to use it, even if it looks bad. Even if it cosmetically doesn't look appealing, you could still play it, you could still use it, it would still be useful. You know, if it were sneakers, you could still use the sneakers even if they're all like dirty and scuffed up. But you need laces, you need a sole that's attached. You know, it needs to be in working order. It wasn't in working order. So that's why I was like, you can get it in working order, or you can get it in cosmetic and working order. That'll be even more appealing. Or you can just go to like a professional shop that already sells them brand new and ask these people who also repair these things and, you know, are professionals in those fields. Go ask them. You know, if it's a shoe, go to a tailor and ask them, how much do you think this thing is worth in current condition, and what do I need to do to get it worth whatever amount of money I'm trying to make? How much do I need to put into it? And then you can decide from there what you want to do. And then you can post it online and sell it. And people would look at your listing and feel like, you know, they can make a decision where they're not going to be waiting forever for the item to come in, and then they have to repair it themselves, and then they realize it still doesn't even work right, and then you got to return it. And now everybody's waiting and losing money on shipping and dealing with PayPal and waiting on PayPal. I mean, everybody hates PayPal, right? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just soured to them, but I hate PayPal. But I use it, but I hate them. I use Venmo too, and it's part of PayPal, so I can't really talk. I use things that I don't like, that I wish were better than they are, but I use them for the convenience. PayPal is dang convenient, so is Venmo, and so ideal, ideal. But that's an example of me practicing, using skills, helping somebody for free. I didn't have to help this person. I had the time and energy and willpower to do it. I helped them, gave them some free information that they could find valuable. They could use it to potentially make some more money for themselves. If I was doing this as a consulting type of thing for whatever type of niche, and just going online and like, hey, well, you could, if I see somebody's trying to get into reselling this thing in this niche, I could just go all over OfferUp and all over where people are selling things and see what bad listings look like, and just tell them, hey, like, you want to improve? Buy my course. Hey, do you want to improve? Hire me and consult with me, and I can tell you how to make this so that you can actually buy it, so people will actually want to buy it. I'm not that interested in that. It's an option. Depending on what it is, people might be willing to buy it from you. If you see people selling laptops that need repairs and you know how to repair them, if they're like, oh, it just has a broken this or that, you could be the repair person that people send their stuff to. If it's something that people could figure out on their own, I don't know. You could walk people through it over the phone and charge a fee. I mean, I wasn't even thinking of like mentioning any of this in the recording. I'm just talking about it now because I'm like, there are ways to provide a service where you're kind of like pitching what you're doing. You're still providing free information. You're practicing. You're learning as you practice. And then other people who are interested are able to connect with you. And if they find what you're offering valuable, like, hey, a one-time $15 consultation about how you can sell all this stuff that I see you've had listed on your OfferUp page for like a year. Why aren't people buying it? Some niches just people don't buy stuff, from it. Other niches, it's really easy to sell stuff. And some people don't know how to post stuff so that people want to buy it. They either think it's not good quality, or they don't have enough pictures to go by, or enough data. People shop really fast online, especially if like they're looking at your item and they're looking at multiple people's items. They're shopping pretty quickly. So you can take a lot of angles with a lot of this digital stuff, all this online e-commerce, reselling, all this stuff. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I need to learn how to knit so I can make all these beanies and sell them online. Like, yeah, you can do that. That's fine. They probably sell well. I know people who have homemade crafts, blankets, rugs, all kinds of things. They sell for a lot of money. People like homemade stuff like that. If you're selling print-on-demand t-shirts of like some random thing, they might not do so well. The market's super saturated. People don't want to spend $29 on a t-shirt for something that they could spend $29 on a Nike t-shirt. A lot of these print-on-demand t-shirt companies have brand name blank t-shirts that they can print your t-shirts on. And so you might find a Reebok athletic t-shirt where you can print your whatever it is that you're selling on it. That's not too bad of an idea. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. You just have to really think it through. Those are some ideas if you have none. But then, a lot of times people, who have maybe like a service that they want to get people interested in purchasing from them, a lot of times they have a hard time, going cold and getting out there. You got to talk to people. You can't not talk to people and expect them to come to you unless you're spending a lot of money to get them to look at your site. And then when they look at your site, it's got to have information where they can come to you. You can do it like that, but you got to have the traffic. So if you're not going to be going the organic or the paid traffic route, you got to reach out to people. You got to get that outreach going. And if you're scared to do it, start just going online and offering people stuff that you could help them with for free. That's something that you'll still be providing value. It's still voluntary work. I don't know. It might sound silly, but it's like you'll get more comfortable with it, and then you can kind of maybe play with it and tweak it to kind of look like how you want to sound when you're pitching something else. So, just ideas for the day while I'm sitting in the sun after the storm. It's cold, it's windy, but it's very sunny. I needed my vitamin D, so thanks guys for this vitamin D inspired episode. I gotta go eat some lunch and get ready because I gotta grab coffee with a friend. Probably not coffee because it's kind of late for caffeine for me. It's almost 1 p.m. But I don't know, that doesn't sound good. I'm outside. These noises that come from the traffic sometimes are a little like concerning. I don't know. I don't think people should drive things that sound like whatever that was. I couldn't see it, but it didn't sound very good. If you guys like this, you seem to like the other episode where I was talking about Acadium. I don't know if it was the brand of Acadium itself or just digital marketing in general, so I'm about to find that out. But as you guys can tell, I like to talk about this kind of stuff. And I find it to be pretty fun. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I know Andrew Tate is controversial, but I don't know. Business model wise, the guy makes money. I have heard some people who joined, I don't remember that first, I can't remember the name of it, but he had some kind of university that was like a cheaper rate. I think it was like $30 a month or something like that. It wasn't Hustlers University. I think it was the other one. Maybe it was Hustlers University. It was whichever one was like the second one that had a lot of like digital marketing type programs you could kind of join. And a lot of people said it was kind of helpful to get get the gears turning to get some skills under your belt, but not helpful enough to thrive as much as it was when they started following other free content online. Or some of those people came out of those Andrew Tate type universities and started making their own free content, and they're very successful because they provide so much stellar free content that, you know, they're ranking so high and everybody's coming to them first. They're ranking for like all this stuff. So in certain niches, and they came out of there, so they learned, you know, and they're definitely hustling. But it's kind of interesting, you know. I had a lot of friends, you know, tell me. I'd say most of my friends this year for 2024 have financial goals. I mean, I'm not challenging any of them. I let people do their own thing. I'm just listening and observing, and I'm like, people have financial goals. But I ask myself, how many of these people with financial goals are making any changes to anything that they're already doing? It's like, if you're working a job and you're working a 9 to 5, for example, if you're not going to be getting a raise or a significant raise, how are you going to be, how are your finances going to look better? And what does that mean? Are you saving more? Are you investing more? Let's just say you're saving more money, you're investing more money. You're not trying to be at negative $15 at the end of every month and waiting 2 days for the next paycheck to come in, and, you know, you can't make it to the end of the month without running out of money and going over budget. So you definitely need more money, or you need to spend less, one or the other. But if people want to make, if people want to reach those goals and they're not, like, say they cut all their expenses to the point where they really can't cut anymore without having to live off of like unhealthy top ramen or something, it's like you're still taking care of your health and getting to go out on occasions, and like you're not just like huddled in a garage corner somewhere like half freezing because you can't afford heat. And, you know, it's like, but the rent was free, you know. It's like, you know, you can't cut everything, you know, or else that's not going to be healthy. But, you know, you can cut to a certain extent and still have comfort. And so, and then you can cut to a certain extent past that where it's like, it's a little uncomfortable, but you'll adjust. And then you can keep cutting till it gets less and less healthy for your lifestyle. And so I wouldn't recommend the third one, but the second one is something like, okay, cutting subscriptions, cutting, you know, maybe you don't go out and maybe you pregame at home by yourself and, you know, get a ride with a friend instead of paying a fortune on Ubers and going out and drinking overpriced drinks. You know, you can get drunk by yourself and then show up to the party already ready to go, you know. I mean, I'm not saying people need to drink. I'm just saying if that's what it is, because for a lot of people I know, that's what it is. You can still do that cheaper. You can still eat at home. I am notorious for eating at home before I go out to eat dinner. And I will buy an appetizer and have some water, and I am good. I'm not spending $35 on a salad. Like, I already ate a more heavy meal that cost me way less, and have leftovers for tomorrow. You know, it's like, I am that person. You will rarely see me overspending on food, going out, drinks, that kind of stuff. Transportation to go out, that kind of stuff. I hardly spend too much on that kind of stuff anymore. It had its day. I've had my fun with it. I'm done with overspending on stuff like that. It's so temporary. It's so temporary. Like, why am I going to spend that much money in 2 hours? I don't know. It doesn't add up for me, but the experience is fun. You can still have fun without spending a whole lot of money. But how are the finances going to change for people who are trying to, like, change their financial position? Whatever it is like, I often ask myself, I'm like, people might not want a second job because that's a lot of a commitment. You're still on someone else's timestamp, you know, doing stuff. You still have to kind of schedule and coordinate, which is fine, but you don't have as much flexibility. You can't just say, I want to make this much money during this week that's going to be allotted to these other things, and then just take a few weeks off. You can't really say that. You can't really do that, or else it's not going to work, or you're going to lose the job. or you're not going to get a good reputation or a good recommendation, or they won't hire you back if you quit and want to come back. I mean, all this, e-commerce stuff kind of sets you up for reaching those financial goals. And if you learn how to do that, you'll always have the opportunity to reach your financial goals. I'm not saying you can always predict that you will 100% of the time, but very often times, if you know how to make money, when you need money, you'll make money. Or you can plan for when you need money and you'll make money. And you'll save it and you'll buy your flight off of it. You'll buy your hotel, book your hotel stays off of it. You'll pay for your Ubers when you're out of town off of that money. You'll buy concert tickets and go to raves. That's where my money goes when I'm making money. Like, I do this stuff, so it's part of it is saved and invested. Another portion of it is invested back into what I'm doing. But there's a large portion of some of these side hustles that gets invested back into partying. Like, and people that I know, I live in LA, I was living in San Diego, and technically I was making a lot less than most people that I worked with, because they got hired after I did. But a lot of people I knew couldn't afford to do anything. And I'm like, here I am going out 3 times a week because I was making money doing other stuff. I mean, yeah, it costs time and energy. It's not like I could just go do it and just be like, oh, like, it's not going to cost me anything. Like, it wasn't that, like, I had to kind of like spend nights in doing stuff, and I wasn't spending all this time. Everyone was asking me, oh, did you watch this on Netflix? Did you watch this? Do you watch this on TV? Like, no, I was busy working on other things, to make money. Like, I was not doing all that other stuff. But then when I wanted to go out, I could go out. I could afford to do it. And it was up to me to do it. And if I didn't want to do it, I didn't do it, And to me, it was easier than getting like a 20-hour-a-week job on top of my 40-hour-a-week job where I was already working massive amounts of overtime. It just made more sense to me. But I don't know. That's one thing I kind of am throwing out there to people. I'm not going to directly throw that at my friends because I feel like that's kind of rude and it's none of my business. But to people who are out there on the interwebs listening to this and are having financial goals, if you're trying to get there, why not get there by making more money, And to make more money, you can participate in skills where you don't really have to be driving all the way across town and doing all these other things. You can learn how to do it, and then once you learn how to do it, you can keep doing it. It's not like it's always that easy, though. There is a lot of complexity to it. There is a lot of learning to it. It can cost a lot of money depending how you do it. But I gotta get off of here because I've got to get some stuff done because I gotta leave in like 35 minutes. But with that, guys, thanks for listening.